But more importantly than anything, I think for Xbox fans is we finally got our answer. It has been a big week for Halo Infinite with number one. Some good news and some bad news for eager fans. For starters, this, of course, was announced right after we recorded our show last week, so we want to make sure we cover it here. The bad news is two major features will not be ready for the game's launch. Forge Mode, the heartbeat of custom games, has received a 6-month delay and will release along with the Season 3 content. If that wasn't enough, Co-op has received a delay of its own and won't see the light of day until the game's second season of content, which is 3 months out. Now for some good news. Developer 343 is staying true to getting the game out by 2021, even if it's as late as can be. They have committed to a December 8th, 2021 release date for both the campaign and multiplayer together, was emphasized on stage by Joe Staten. New trailer also introduces Halo 1's Season 1 Commander Agrena, alongside all the content we'll be unlocking. To celebrate the 20th anniversary, they are planning to release a Halo-themed Elite Controller Series 2, as well as a limited edition Halo Infinite console available on the first game's anniversary, November 19th. All right, gentlemen, so now I think it's kind of good that we missed the first scoop of news because we weren't able just to knee-jerk react. We had time to digest, think about it. Not only that, now we've got the release date in tandem with that to look at, okay, 3 months out, we're looking at March for Co-op, we're looking at the summer for Forge. And we got a better idea, I think, of things where we can talk about it for the first time in probably a more informed manner. I want to pass this to Jez right away as our guest. Jez, number one, you were the guy who gave us hope after Xbox's Gamescom showcase, right? You know, we're like, where was it? No Halo Infinite, no date. And you went, you guys might want to watch Open and Not Live. Right there, we were like, all right, Jez knows that something's coming. So you probably had an idea that a date was coming. Now we got the date. How do you feel about the delayed content alongside said release date?
Man, it's complicated because, you know, I can see the arguments for both. I think the biggest problem with this delay is that once again, it calls into question Microsoft's ability to execute a AAA game. I think that's the biggest problem here. Yes, there's COVID. Yes, it's unprecedented. And in a way, 343 was uniquely disrupted by COVID. Like, I don't know what you call it, that place in America where Microsoft is.
Redmond? Washington?
Yes, Washington. The pandemic was like particularly bad there last year, I believe. It sort of started there, if I remember right. And 343 was like uniquely impacted by it because they're sort of open plan office. They've got like all these like collaborative sort of screens up. I've seen it, man. The 343 is like I've been there. I've actually been there, and it's like a hive of video game development, you know, with busy bees buzzing around, hitting codes and doing all the codey things, you know.
The Matrix, let's go.
Yeah, kind of. And you know, it's so for them to go from like a workflow they're used to with all this technology in-house, rapid, like sending builds over super speedy Microsoft technology, to suddenly being scattered all across the country, like literally all across the country, and then having to do all this work on domestic home internet, waiting for things to sync over SharePoint and OneDrive, you know. Not great, not ideal.
Tough.
And that was at the start of the pandemic, before Microsoft had any idea of how to cope with this stuff. So like, for some countries that have only just, like New Zealand and Australia, have only just recently started to have like outbreaks that have numbered in the hundreds, you know. So like they've had time to observe the panic in the West and sort of potentially sort of have contingencies in place. Microsoft had no contingencies for a global pandemic as pertains to game development. Maybe now they do. Maybe a lot of companies do now, but they didn't at the time. Yeah, and not only that, but Chris Lee was ousted, and Joseph Staten came in, and some reports suggest that he really changed the vision for what the campaign was going to be, and decided like some things need to be better and tweaked and stuff like that. And then we had last year's gameplay showing, and Craig, and all that stuff. So
Someone held up a Craig sign at WWE
Yeah.
side.
Yo,
now.
you saw that? That's so funny.
Cruel.
So the point of this history lesson is to illustrate that it has not been easy for them.
Yes.
And this, even though I'm not personally affected by co-op because I have no friends, and I'm not personally affected by Forge because I have no creativity. I don't personally care about these things. What it does call into question, though, is the game as a whole in a good state? That's where I think a lot of the fear comes from. And that's where my concern comes from. I'm not even a Halo fan. Like anyone who listens to
Oh
me
yeah, I listen to
and-
Xbox too. Oh
yeah.
yeah.
they know what I think of Halo. But I want it to be good for Xbox
Yes.
fans, obviously, because it's
Mhm.
a flagship product, and not only does it carry the weight of meeting Halo fans' expectations, it's sort of like the crowning advertisement for the Xbox brand. You know,
Yes.
if they can't execute Halo Infinite after 6 years, that's not a good look. So,
Woo.
that's what I think. It's sort of like the fear that they're not going to be able to execute this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just going to lead to like 75 on Metacritic or something, and it's going to be another like, when are we going to get a
No,
good game
Jess.
out of this
No,
company?
Jess. No.
So I have no insight into what the state of the campaign is. I just want to say that now.
Okay.
I haven't heard if it's good. I haven't heard if it's bad. I suppose as long as it's got like, aliens to shoot in it, some people can.
Profess your love. Show your love for
Well,
this
the thing
franchise.
that may have concerned me more is I thought that they tried to get this bad news out of the way with Co-op and Forge, because when they hit the stage at Gamescom, I was thinking not a big blowout, but like here's when our next tech preview is happening. Here's another peek at the gameplay for the campaign 1 year later, right? It's been a year since we had the Craig debut. Now let's get a look at how we've gotten a feel for Halo for those who were lucky enough to get into the technical preview to understand, hey, this game feels like it'll be fun. We don't know yet when you get real players in there and with the diversity of modes, how it'll actually balance out. But at the end of the road, I think what people wanted to see was campaign. We didn't even get that. So to me, I think while the date is encouraging, I found the date very encouraging. I was like, yes, they're taking every friggin' month that they can, and they're not trying to get your Black Friday sales. They're trying to get you right at the end of December. They're getting you one way, right, with the controller, with the console to prepare you.
Oh yeah.
But I think sales-wise, it may have been more optimal while people were in stores to have Halo sitting on those shelves. And I know there was pressure there to get it on the anniversary date. I would have loved that. But even if it's a couple of weeks, I really like that they have waited until that deep into the cycle. But I still want another look at the campaign. I thought this was the time to do so. And that's not even getting into the side tangent that I could go all day about when it comes to this fucking showcase that they held.
Oh God.
Where another thing about if it's good or bad, but that you see how much now with opening night live concluded, Xbox held for that show, and that Halo was just in the middle. Like I thought, this is a show ender, maybe a show starter, right? Like it's a big deal, release date, new trailer. And it's like just in the middle there. It's just like here you go. I'm like, why didn't we do this on our own stage? Jez, maybe you have the answers on that one. I got to turn to you real quick because you seem to know that it was going to end up that way. So do you know why Xbox made this call?
No.
It's so weird.
I found out like a couple of days ago, and I was just like, no. Really?
Yeah.
Really? But I think they like Jeff Keighley.
Yes.
That's my take.
Okay.
And I quite like Jeff too. I liked his jacket and his shoes very much during the show.
His jacket was quality today, or today as we record this.
I'm going to steal his jacket.
Yeah.
That's how I was resolved to steal Jeff's jacket. But, I think ultimately that's what it's about. Like, it's about, like, Jeff. I think Jeff made this happen. Maybe it was a good thing given the pacing of the other show.
Oh God, yeah. I can't.
That's fair.
I got things to say.
I didn't
yeah.
even watch the whole thing. I just
Wow.
watched a little bit and thought,
I think I'm the curse.
Nah.
I ever since I started doing these reaction streams to anything Xbox does for a showcase, really with like Twitch at ID at Xbox, it's really just been a real poor presentation after poor presentation. I'm like, damn, maybe I just gotta take a stream off and they'll get it right. Like, I'll just sit there as a spectator, like,
You're
okay,
the jinx.
yeah. God, what do you think of
don't know.
everything Halo? Sorry, Jez, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, like, I just wish they'd just steal Nintendo's format.
I know.
Yeah, especially with indies. Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just steal Nintendo's format.
Steal it.
They
Steal
showed
it. Just,
you how to do it.
yep.
It's right
Just-
there.
Just
PlayStation
right there.
did it.
Take it.
Yeah,
PlayStation did. Yeah,
Yeah.
just do it. Less fluff. Developers minimally, and if so, not on screen as much. Less personalities.
Mhm.
Showcase the games. Pacing. Move forward. I'm with you on that, Jen. I got a lot to say.
Let's go.
First off, when the announcement happened about no co-op in Forge, it crushed me. It really crushed. Campaign co-op really crushed me. That is something historically, I realized when I did my Halo history, I've never not played Halo co-op campaign. It was almost a tradition that, you get your friends, you crank it up on Legendary, and you try to do that. And it was just this kind of, fun, tradition that I've always done. So it did hurt. Now, I'm a person, in fairness, that even though something directly affects me, if it's for the greater good of the game, then I'm going to say, you know what? Okay, I'll sacrifice that if the data shows or the telemetry shows something else, right?
Mhm.
But to me, it was, I guess, where I really struggled with the mindset and the community was this overbearing thought process. It has to come out this year. It has to come out. Because I would challenge people on the other side, like, hey, why, let's be honest, Halo, that is a core pillar. You have the campaign, co-op, you have multiplayer, right? So for people that it is shipped every single iteration prior, right? Why are you so hell-bent that it must come out? And they were just like, look, you got to hit it, the 20th anniversary, at some points, they would use the statistics, look at the people who didn't play, co-op campaign as far as achievement, finishing and stuff like that. And I get it. The only thing it was just interesting to me because to me, where I was emotional about it was that in this industry, every other game we say, yo, they delayed it. Good. Take your time.
Yes.
Take your time, right? This is what I hear. We hear the Miyamoto quote, take your time.
Mm.
And I'm like, and they cheer it. They celebrate. The community gets behind it. And we just came off of Cyberpunk, right? Where the boardroom made a decision that ultimately tarnished the great reputation, right, of this franchise. And it's just like, so that was just my thing. Like, why is the community so, gung-ho with that? So it is what it is. Now let's fast forward to the two shows. The Gamescom show, yeah, I was very upset. Like, why isn't Halo here? Like, what's going on? We went through the whole thing, no Halo. What's going on? And now to where we are now, which is the Jeff Keighley thing. And to Jez's point, yeah, they love Jeff. To Jez's point, we have to admit his influence is tremendous.
Mhm.
You're going to get the eyes of the non-Xbox fan. You're going to get you're going to get the most eyes on his show. There's no doubt about it. So I understood the play, but it just made me question, well, why did you even have a show to begin with?
Yeah.
Because you could have they literally showed how you pronounce it? Just trebuchets and Age of Empire on. It was the History Channel I was watching on Xbox.
Yeah.
They had them outside. They with cannonballs and trebuchets. They did not show the trebuchet in the game, but I watched Jeff's show. I get to see the game. I'm like, wow, this game looks cool.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't I see that on the Xbox? And shout out to Paris because I love Paris. Love Paris. Phenomenal job. Paris is the homie. Kate. Love those guys are great and gal. But to me, I just didn't understand why that show was necessary if you're going to give Jeff all these things anyway.
Mhm.
So that was it. To the last point, the console, with all this bloviation, I'm not going to lie, when I saw the controller.
I knew it.
Jess, I got weak. I had the button up there. I was so distracted, Maddie. We're live streaming with the Lords. I'm not even paying any other game. I'm going to Microsoft.com.
No.
Where's pre-order, bro? Because I'm an elite
pre-ordered?
controller guy. Oh, I got that controller, bro.
Wow.
Bro,
I saw the $200 price tag. I went, fuck you, no.
You got to understand, bro. I am a sucker for that stuff. Paddles on the back and extra, with my FPS, bro. That's me. The geek in me loves this stuff, right?
Okay.
So they got me. I was going to almost go all the way with the console, but I'm like, I really don't need it. Let me stop.
I did it out of... I'm trying to white knight when I say
no, go for it.
I didn't touch that limited console. I looked at that was the one I looked at and went, all right, I kind of like that. Now I was looking into it and I thought to myself, hey, do I really need a second Series X? Like someone in line probably wants this and needs it. Like I don't need to go get a limited edition console. So I talked myself out of it because that was the one that for me, I have this weird philosophy with limited controllers and cosmetic ones. Like Xbox is promoting the controller lab and I'm like, yeah, it's cool, but like my eyes are up here, man. They're up at the screen. Like I'm not. I look at it once, so I pick it up, and that's it for like 3 hours now. To me, the console makes more sense. Like it's a talking point. You walk in, and like, oh, it's a Halo console. It's like, you're a Halo fan. It's like, I feel like that's a bigger deal. That's more important. And you at least see it, right? At least in my case, it's in view, so it's like, there's something there, but. I think you made such strong points. I'm because the thing is I've just accepted they need to get this out in 2021 because it seems like there's pressure from all ends. But you make such a strong point on the idea that why is 343 facing this pressure? And the only thing I can think of is it's been so long, right? Is it just time? Like eventually you just got to get this out, get the ball rolling. What I didn't like was in this stream where they talked about delaying these features is Joe Staten. And I feel bad because he came in late to fix this game. He should not be the guy who's just getting destroyed for this.
Where you gonna go?
But he did say, it's a service game. This evolves. And I'm just sitting there just like, no, these are fucking core features, man. Like the Forge, sure, it can come a little bit later. We've seen that with Halo 5 to some extent, but like, co-op, we're talking, it's a service game, it evolves, and so we're going to add this stuff over time. It's like, no, that's not what people signed up for. That's the one thing I fear with, like, we talked about this, Cog. You and I had an episode about it with Assassin's Creed Infinity, GTA Evolving Map, Halo Infinite. I was like, these games as a platform terrify me because a lot of people were bending over backwards for 343 when these features got delayed. And I don't want to be dramatic or extreme on them because I think there is an understanding to what Jez said. He's a perfect representation of that. For some people, they don't care. And that's fine. It makes complete sense. It does not impact them personally. And I understand why. But what's happening is there's been a lot of bending over backwards because people are looking at 343 and they're looking at Game Pass and going, well, I don't got to pay for it. It's like you're still selling the game. And there are still going to be people who are buying it for $60, $70. And at that point, they need to ship something feature complete. And we don't know how long this campaign will be, right? With this open world segments. It could be even longer. And I would imagine it's longer than any other Halo game. We don't know the suite of modes within Halo Infinite's multiplayer. We know Slayer and we know Big Team Battle. There's still so much yet to be told to help determine if that price tag is fair, but they are still selling a product. And I think that we should be always holding these companies accountable. This has nothing to even do with Halo at this point or 343. Just in general, we got to be saying to these companies, like, give me the best you've got and not this, well, it's Game Pass because that's how you soften the blow for so many other launches. They're going to see you. They're going to see that feedback online and be like, oh, so you're cool with this. Okay. And Xbox has been guilty of the past. They want to see what they can get away with. All companies are doing that. Xbox Live Gold. They tried to up the price of that. They want to see what they can do, right? Xbox, the good guys with Game Pass, but they tried to up Gold. I mean, I'm just asking people, you don't got to be pissed, right? I'm not calling for outrage, fake outrage. We hate that shit. Of course. Just be critical of this type of stuff.
It's okay.
I think you got to agree with me, right? If they don't think it's a big deal, that's it. But I'm just saying some people were really like, well, it's in Game Pass, so who cares? I'm like, what?
Exactly. See, that I gotta cut you because that was I got crucified on my own podcast. I was like the only person. The Lords were coming for me. King, Saul, they all. Attic was on my side, but everyone was coming for me, and they were just like, "Look, Cog, it's got to come out." And I'm like, we talk about that. We talk about the quality, and we talk. I'm just cognizant of there is a narrative right now, right, which is for some people who don't necessarily are fans of Game Pass, right? And they'll say, hey, this is Microsoft sometimes just kind of allowing things from a quality control standpoint to come out in certain states because, hey, it's in Game Pass. Obviously we had the Outrider situation. Me and you talked in depth on Define and Duke Ultimate about Ascent and some of the issues we had that prevented it from being something really special. And now it's like, oh, Halo. Oh, don't worry. We'll get that to you. And I know what you're saying with Staten with the live service comment when he said like, okay, these games are really not complete. And then at a certain point, we continue to add everybody rolls out. I know where you was at, bro. Like that's I felt it to my core. And I just don't want that to become a theme. Right. And the last point I'll say, as a Destiny fan, watching the Destiny stream prior, I saw them really promoting the Bungie anniversary, right? And they were promoting Halo heavily. And I thought that was very interesting. You know what I mean? And just because usually Destiny streams they act like Halo doesn't exist sometimes, even though it came from them. So I thought the timing of that in December, and I said it on stream, I have a funny feeling, this before, like a day before, Halo's going to drop in December because it coincides. And the final point I'll make is, again, with the boardroom and it having to come out this year, is y'all know me. I like my geek swag. I even got a Halo shirt on today. Right? I love my geek swag. But I'll tell you one thing. If you go, this for months now, Halo 20th anniversary, right? I've been trying to they got the cups, they got the shirts, it's got the gold 20, it's got massive, it's some sick looking geek drip. I need this in my life. I could not just find this thing. It's been sold out for months. Like the marketing behind it, like Halo has its own section in the Xbox Gear Store. So I was like, wow, this is tremendous that they are. I even have the thing to email me, let me know when it's back in stock. Never back in stock. So in my mind, I'm like, wow, this is extremely important from a marketing standpoint. And it just led me to believe this is another reason why this game has to come out this year. And I just worry for the quality of the game, that when we get this game, Maddie, I hope the polish is there. Yeah. I hope that not waiting 3 to 6 months that the game should need is there. But I'm curious with y'all. That's my last rant.
Yeah, you set up the spotlight perfectly where it's like, now what happens with these lack of features? I wish I said this in my initial tangent because it probably would have made it more digestible for the listener. But now that you've removed features, what happens is every other feature that's left remaining is put under a microscope. It's not just Halo once again. This happens with every game. Reviewers do it constantly because now there's less, so there's less to focus on. So you just got to really, like, that campaign needs to be good. Those story faux pas that you saw in Halo 5 had to be non-existent now. Right. Multiplayer can't just be fun. It's got to be balanced. It's got to be like, you got to feel like on launch, like we've got it, right? Like this is the package. That's the feeling that they've created by removing stuff. And of course, the wait amps up that anxiety and that anticipation. But yeah, man, Halo Infinite this December. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds.